Hello, people. How's everybody today?
Good. How are you?
Well, I had an up close and personal encounter with a copperhead snake this morning, so I'm very happy I'm not in the emergency room.
In your garden or what?
Yeah, I was cutting back the foliage of the iris, and I had my hand 6 inches or less from this copperhead snake. I didn't see him because he was, in the mulch.
Yeah.
And then my eyes registered, ooh, he's coiled. This is not good.
Yeah, they blend in really well.
I was astounded at how hard he was to see.
And
Wow.
they're not really not very big.
Yeah. So anyway, so I was a very lucky person this morning. I'm counting my lucky stars.
There's a poem there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Good morning, Linda, or afternoon, I should say.
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, it's been a long day.
Oh, really? That doesn't sound good.
No, it's a good day. It's just a long day. And I'm just praying it will rain. It sort of spattered a little bit, but it hasn't rained properly. And it's so dry. Yeah.
Yeah, we went down to Lake Mooney yesterday we were just going to have coffee by the lake. Normally we like to kayak down there, and the kayak ramp is out of the water. It has one of those wonderful, they're fairly modern, I guess, but you can use your hands to pull yourself up onto the surface rather than having to scrape your kayak across the bottom of the rocks at the edge of the water. And it's not going to work now. It's too high up.
Yeah, it's been a dry later part of summer.
Hi, Lyman.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, Lyman.
Well, let's get going. We had the PSV board meeting this morning. The Anthology has about 105 people out of the 200 and some members have submitted. Technically, the deadline is over, but if you've not submitted yet, Ed will be taking it through Halloween. So fill out the form and mail it in so that he knows approximately the size of what he's going to need to order from the publisher. That's why he's doing the two-step process. You put in the titles you believe you're going to send in. You can always change your mind later. You just can't have more poems than 3 submitted either way. So if you add one thing, you have to take something else off. So I think about a third of the people in the 2 regions have submitted. Maybe it's closer to half now. So I don't know who hasn't, but please do. The odds are very good you'll get something in the collection. Questions?
Nope.
Susan?
He's going to let us know. I thought I understood he was going to let us know if he had received our application. And
I didn't get an acknowledgement, and I would imagine that would be just such an overwhelming task.
Yeah, I didn't hear that.
I got that impression, but I'm sure it's all right.
Let me see. He sent me an email a while ago of who had as of that moment. I don't know if I've got that email or if I filed it away.
Especially since he was doing the snail mail approach.
Right.
Initially, those of us that snail mailed, he'd have to, type in the email address. That would be a horrific task for everybody. You couldn't just click and say, got it.
Yeah.
All right. He has received Linda Dove, Julie Scott, Elizabeth Spraggins, Jim Gaines, Michelle Ahern, Sue, Gabby, and me as of October 10.
Okay.
So if you send something in after that, I don't know.
I
But,
sent in something before that, but yeah. Okay.
well, unless they put you
Fine.
in Northern. Because you were attending things in Northern as well as with us,
Yeah.
I think, weren't you?
No, but
Maybe that was
well,
Stan.
maybe I was there right when I first came in about 3 yeyears ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
I can ask specifically to see if, because Lyman, you sent something in, right?
Yeah, I did.
All right, I will check. Yeah. It's a very old-fashioned way of doing things, but
Old
if you
fashioned works.
so let's see what else we got here. In the meeting, we also talked about the May Festival 2023, which is the Centennial Festival. Our October 22 festival will be part of the Centennial. So we'll be going in before 2023, but we're going to celebrate for a year and a half. The collection, the anthology, will be for sale starting with the May 2023 festival. The poetry contest is about to start. We were hoping to have Submittable set up, and that's still possible, but Submittable has not been real responsive in terms of giving us how much it's going to cost us. So unfortunately, we may be back to using the email submission. It will be better than last year because everything was done very last minute last year. So hopefully it won't be as clunky as it was. They do need judges. So Beth, I know you judged last year. If you're interested, let me know. You won't judge the same category is the only thing. It would be a different one of the awards. So anybody for sure want to let me know that they're interested?
Well, I'll be glad to serve.
Okay.
What's the
Somebody
time
needs to
frame?
do it.
What's the time frame for that?
Well, the contest starts in 2 weeks and it ends, I can't remember the date, somewhere around the end of January or something in February. And I think, Beth, you did the work last year. Was it in February or March that you did all the work?
Well, they got it to me really quickly after the close of the submission deadline. And I think I got mine done in like 2 weeks. I think it was mid-February before I had finished.
Maybe
So,
it's announced. When's Poe's birthday? Because that's when they announce it.
yeah,
Whenever that is.
but it was the dead of winter. So any of you who are hesitant about judging, it's a great time because there won't be a lot going on. You can curl up with the things during an ice storm or something.
So, and there are quite a few categories and awards. So I encourage you to apply. Everyone is eligible except me. If you're on the board, you're not eligible to submit. And I also encourage you to judge a contest. Obviously, don't enter the contest you're going to judge.
I can volunteer to judge. I've judged other contests in the past. And so for the
Thank you.
Poetry Society in Texas.
Yeah, I've done a number, including the National Press Women's Contest.
I have to say, as a relative newcomer to PSV, that all the different categories are very confusing. I'm never quite clear what their focus is. A lot of them are sort of memorializing people.
And that's why there's so many, is because people donated money, and unless the money disappears, used up completely, we're under a fiscal obligation to do what the donor requested. So all I can say is read it, And you can look at last year's winners, but submit something that you think is close and don't worry about it. Because I think the judges, unless it's really out of whack with the criteria, are going to take a look at it regardless. So
I was thinking more about the judging side, you know, there would be some kinds of poetry that I wouldn't have no affinity for. And,
right.
yeah.
Some are
But
specific
thank you.
to
Yeah.
the form. Yeah, so I mean, you would pick one. If you're not comfortable with the particular form that's required, pick a different category.
So, for instance, hip hop poetry is not my. It's not my
I don't think
forte.
there's a category that's hones in on that, but you might get.
Seen it. I've seen it elsewhere. Let me put
Yeah.
it that way.
Yeah, I don't think we have that yet. We probably should.
Oh, we're really outdated.
Most of ours are fairly straightforward, I think. And David, one thing that we might want to clarify, it worked out fine last year, but I know you said you weren't eligible to submit because you were on the board. I had submitted some things last year, and then they apparently had decided they kind of didn't want people who were judging to submit to any contest.
Okay.
So they switched me to the teams. And whatever is fine. It just might be good for the sake of everybody who's judging if we're clear up front, whether it means that we shouldn't submit to any categories or just not submit to the category that they tell us we're judging.
All right, let me get an answer on that.
Yeah, and I'm fine with whatever. I want it to all look completely transparent and above board.
Yeah, I don't see where the conflict of interest would be there myself, as long as they could keep it separate. I mean,
Right. Well, and I was kind of surprised, but they just shifted me to the team category and said this is fine. So
judging the young peoples can be fun too.
Oh, I loved it, and I was astounded. It was very inspiring to see. And these kids are so young. How do they write this stuff? I don't know. But anyway.
Well, I'll get an answer on that. And if the answer is, if you're judging it all, you can't submit, I'll let Lyman and Beth know, and you can decide whether, before I submit your name.
And me.
Okay.
Well, David, I'm fine. I'll judge regardless. I just would like to, I don't want to embarrass anybody by submitting, and then they say, this is not kosher. But I will judge regardless. So.
Okay, but I'll still get an answer on that. Because
Will you inform me too, David?
yes.
Okay.
I'll let everybody know.
And I won't use my pseudonym to enter a contest at the same time as judging.
Oh, why not?
Well,
Elizabeth Barrett Browning, right?
yes, that's right. Yeah. How do I love thee?
Okay, let's see. I sent you information on the youth poetry thing. If you've been able to spread that around, the deadline is Monday. They've gotten a decent amount of contributions, but not as much as they'd hoped. All right, now Stan said he would try to join us at 2:30. He's got a conflict. Are there any questions on anything we talked about so far before I move to this year's festival? Okay, thank you, Lyman, for being one of the readers. I wish we were doing this.
Thanks for having me.
I wish we were doing this live, but it looks like COVID is starting to fade, but at this point, I'm not confident that it's a good idea to have a big event.
Right.
And the first time we did one at Germana a few years ago, we had over 50 people there. So That was a pretty good turnout for a poetry reading. Louisa, our current poet laureate, whose term ends this spring, will be doing a workshop starting at 5:30. She has 90 minutes for the workshop and her reading, approximately. And then Lyman and Stan will come in and do approximately 15 minutes. And then we'll have open mic. It seems as though with these Zoom conferences, we've had somewhere between 10 and 15 people total. And please keep promoting it through Facebook or, I've given it to libraries to post. Some are more cooperative than others. I think it's because of, like, the Fredericksburg area one is very organized, and some of the other libraries are not as organized. So I will record it again, and I'll probably break it up into 3 or 4 pieces, like the workshop, and then Louisa's reading, Lyman's reading, Stan's reading, and open mic, so you can go to YouTube and look at the one you want. My students will get extra credit for attending and more extra credit if they read a poem. Typically, we have a couple when we do Zoom. When we did it live, we'd have almost half the class. So I'd like to get back to that again. It is open to the public. Anybody anywhere can come in. Obviously, if anybody misbehaves, they get kicked out. So Beth, you were going to be MC, right?
Right.
And you of course can read, which you did one time because we had some time left. So you jumped in and read some of your good poems.
And I'll be ready to do that in case we need to fill some time.
Lyman, will you need a shared screen? Or are you just reading video?
I don't know if I know exactly what that question means. I would just read the way we do now.
Okay.
Just if I put the stuff right here in front of me and talking to my camera rather than the other computer.
That's fine. Yeah, Louisa for the workshop will need shared screen. So
okay, that's good.
But I mean, generally the readers don't.
Yeah.
So I sent you an invitation for a 5 o'clock check. So Louisa, Stan, Lyman, Beth, and I will get on. We'll make sure things are working. Hopefully there won't be any problems. And then I'll probably shut it off and restart it just before 5:30. I will take care of monitoring the people coming in. I've set it up to admit people. I don't expect a huge number. If I expected 100 people, I wouldn't do that. So I will monitor that. And if somebody is misbehaving, I will kick them out. That hasn't happened in my Zoom things. Because especially since I'll be using Germana's Zoom, which has more extra security than your personal one would be. So I'll be hidden in the background. Beth, you'll open and introduce as you always. You've done, would this be the 3rd time you've done it? Once live and once virtual, right? And
do you have whatever introductory notes the presenters would like read?
Thus far, all I've got is their bios. So what I'll do is I will email everybody and ask them
That'd
if
be
they
great.
have a preference as to what they would like said, rather than simply repeating the bio.
Right, because it might be more engaging. Most people will presumably have seen the flyer or an announcement, and if they have something else to add, that would be great. That would be a wonderful opportunity.
Okay. So Lyman, you can just go ahead and send that to Beth and me.
Okay,
But I will send a nagging reminder anyway if I don't get it.
that's always good. Is there any particular new information that you would like to have other than the bio?
Are you
In addition
addressing
to
Beth?
bio?
Are you addressing
I'm
me
talking
or
to Beth.
Beth?
I'm talking to Beth. Sorry,
Yeah.
Beth.
Well, we'll probably, hopefully, since David's offering extra credit again, we'll have some young people in the audience. So maybe there's something that you could hone in on that might be encouraging to students or to people of any age who are just starting out with poetry. This has been the COVID time has been a time of exploration for lots of people. And I think something from your background that might be inspiring as far as people looking for direction or confirmation, if you can think of something, would be great.
The one thing that has never been said by way of introducing you. I don't know. I always get those and I like, I don't know. Especially since I was introduced so much in my prior career, I'm thinking everything's been, I don't find myself that interesting, so.
I once had an introduction which somebody had, I don't know how they found this out, but I once took a belly dancing class and that was part of the introduction.
Well,
the hidden life.
I mean, as long as they didn't ask you to demonstrate.
No, they didn't.
All right. Beth, do you need anything more at this point for the event?
Well, I think we're okay. How are we going to do the students or the open read, I guess?
Right.
How are we going to introduce those people?
Well, the students that tell me they're going to read in advance, I will give those to you in advance.
Okay.
Everybody else is going to, that night, if they haven't told me in advance, will use the chat function to say they want to read.
Okay.
And I will try to keep track of all of those and repost the list right before the open mic.
Okay. So we'll just go down the list and it will be in the chat. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And well, I'll have the original list in advance and then you'll amend it via the chat. Okay.
Yeah. Anybody that signs up that night would, it looks like Lyman froze. And with a wonderful smile.
Yes.
David.
We lost you, Lyman.
David.
Yes.
I did say to you I would volunteer for the open mic. And I'm happy to do that. But if you have so many young people, oh, he's disappeared. If you have so many young people that, that would be important, then I'm happy to step aside at the last minute. So don't worry.
That would be a nice problem to have. Don't count on that happening. So don't worry about it.
Okay. No, I won't.
And if if the problem is that it goes extra long because we have so many people participating, that is a nice problem to have.
Well, it is. It is.
I'm not
And
going to worry about
also in my calendar, I had maybe inadvertently put we started at 6 p.m. Am I getting things wrong?
Originally, I said approximately 6.
Oh, okay.
Once we set up the workshop and everything, I moved it to 5:30 as the official time.
On the 28th. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
3 days before Halloween, feel free to wear a mask other than your medical mask.
And did we want to suggest a time limit for the open reading, just in case we have somebody who goes long-winded per person?
We're actually getting rain here. The rule is 1 to 2 poems, no more than 5 minutes.
Okay.
Because one time when I said 1 to 2 poems, we had somebody who read the Iliad.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it wasn't quite that bad, but it went on and on and on.
Yeah. And the audience we'll lose the audience, especially via Zoom. They'll check out.
So 1 to 2 poems, no more than 5 minutes.
Okay.
If very few people read, then we can go back and have people read another poem or something. So that'll be, you have the power, Ms.
Okay.
Evans, so.
Okay. All right.
Lyman, do you need anything more at this point? And you're muted.
Sorry, I had to move locations. I was unstable, as it was kept telling me. No, I don't have any other needs at this point.
Okay. All right. Trying to think if there's any other business, hoping that Stan can join us. He did that. I guess why don't we re-celebrate successes? I've not been sending out a monthly email since it basically is repeated by the email that you get from the Poetry Society. If we were a bigger group where we had a lot more news, I would do monthly newsletter, but and maybe when we're back face to face and things, I'll get back to that. Beth, I know you had some successes.
Yeah, well, the big one was my new book that came out this year, Waltzing with Water, took second place in the Virginia Outdoor Writers Association competition. So that was a shock. I was really surprised.
Now they do nature writing as well.
Right. Well, that's the focus of it. But since my poetry is grounded in nature, when I saw the announcement, I thought, well, I guess I'll give it a shot. But that was quite lovely. I didn't attend the awards banquet because the COVID numbers started to surge right before then.
Yeah, congratulations.
But thank you very much.
And you had a few acceptances by various journals too.
Yeah. Let's see what has happened in the last month. I think I had one come out in Borrowed Solace, and I have a few pending. And I've been having luck with flash fiction, which has been kind of interesting since I consider myself a poet. But I've been writing a lot of microfiction, 100 words or less. This text-friendly society seems to embrace that. So, I think those of us who are poets have an advantage with microfiction because we're so focused on each individual word.
Yeah.
Short attention span writing.
Yeah. Sadly, it takes such a long time to produce such a short piece.
Yeah, I tell the students that because we do short fiction, 10-minute play, and 3 short poems. And I tell them when I say short, it doesn't mean it's easier. In some ways, it's harder. It's just we don't have time.
Right.
We've only got 5 weeks per genre to spend looking at your novel or whatever. So, but yeah, a good flash fiction. It's not in any way easier than writing a 40,000 word short story. In some ways it's harder. Anybody else had things they'd like to celebrate?
Well, I've had a few acceptances of individual poems, and I can't for the life of me remember where, but 2 or 3, I think, and yeah.
If they're not the ones that you emailed me, please email them to me and we'll get them in the next newsletter.
If I can, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yes, well done. Honestly, I think submitting and carrying that energy during this pandemic is something to celebrate because it's just hard.
Yeah, I've really been lax at lots of things. I drag myself reluctantly into doing them, but nothing like what I was doing before COVID. So, Lyman, we're going to say something.
Yeah, I actually did get a poem accepted and published in a journal in Texas called Equinox.
Oh,
I haven't been submitting, but I saw a notice for it and sent some stuff in, and they picked one of my cloudy Virginia day poems, and so.
oh, wonderful.
Well, I've served as a reader or poetry editor 3 times now. I encourage you to submit. Don't assume that what gets submitted is automatically better than what you do.
Yeah.
Because there's a wide variety of craftsmanship, let me say, as well as style and approach. Some of them I would consider a first draft in my intro creative writing class in terms of craftsmanship. I don't know. Craftsmanship is probably a sexist word. What is a better word? I guess I should just say craft.
Craft.
Yes, craft. Well, the other thing too is I'm seeing a lot of journals that are starting to rotate the editorial jobs for selection.
Yeah.
So even if you look at one issue and
Yeah.
aren't really pleased, the following issue might be a better fit for the kind of work that you produce.
And they, theme issues, it's different. And even if they don't rotate the poetry editor, there's still a changeover over time. And because there have been places that were publishing my stuff regularly, they got a new editor who suddenly decided what I was doing wasn't a fit for the journal anymore. So it can go either way.
Yeah.
How dare that person?
I love that phrase, fit, because I always want to say, well, what does fit? Because I don't think they've ever really put it into
It's
words.
this big.
Yeah. And they always say, send us your best work.
Well, it is a very subjective process, especially because, Beth, a lot of the stuff you do, the craft is easier to judge. If it's a sonnet, is it a sonnet?
Right.
Not called a sonnet, but if formally it's supposed to be a Elizabethan or Italian Petrarchan sonnet and it's not, well, that's easy.
Right.
The aesthetics have always been more subjective, but now that so many poets are using some free type approach, it's all over the place.
Right.
I just had 2 poems accepted by December magazine, which has a very small percentage of what's submitted accepted. So this is the 3rd time they've actually accepted my stuff. So I felt quite flattered that they like it. And the book that I have that's coming out that won the Homebound Prize will be, we're looking at a July release date right now of next year.
Congratulations.
That's wonderful. Good job.
I got a note from one magazine or journal, I think, apologizing because their next issue is going to be in print, is going to be 6 months late because of supply chain problems. I don't know if anybody else had that experience.
There's been a lot of delays. Here's Stan. There's been a lot of delays because of staffing. Universities haven't had the students involved, all sorts of issues, paper problems, publisher problems, yeah.
Hi, Stan.
Stan, we're going to get kicked off here. So I'm gonna, can you hear me, Stan?
Yes.
Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end the meeting and start it up again.
Okay.
So those of you that were here, if you want to come back, we're just going to go over with Stan anything having to do with the poetry festival. Feel free to rejoin us or not. Thank you all. And again, this is recorded. I will post it on YouTube.
I'll join you in just a second then.
All right.
I'm leaving you.
Bye, Linda. It's good to see you.
Bye. I'm zoomed out, so I'm leaving you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we're getting some decent rain here.
Send it our way.
It's amazing the difference between Fredericksburg and here, considering as the crow flies, it's only about 20 miles.
And I love your background, David. That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Where is that supposed to be?
I have no idea.
Oh, I thought maybe you took the picture.
Well, I spent most of my life in Michigan in a town, Belleville, which has a 7.5 mile long lake, wraps around the town where I had my store. And it looks something like that because Michigan's kind of flat.
Yeah.
All right. Stan, again, thanks for agreeing to read. The agenda at 5 o'clock, I sent you an invitation. 5 o'clock on the 28th. The four of us plus Louisa will do a technology check. Just make sure that everything is working. Louisa is going to be doing the workshop. She'll want to be able to share screen, that sort of thing. Once that's set, we'll probably just log off and log back on right before 5:30. Beth will be the MC. So she will welcome people on behalf of PSV and Germana. If one thing I've got to find out is if, so I think that one of the vice presidents is going to be joining us. I want to see if she wants to welcome people or not.
Right. And in that case, I would need her title, brief bio, or whatever.
Right.
I hope that to me is a really nice element. I hope she'll do it.
Well, I know she's planning on attending, and my memory is she's an English major before she went to the dark side. No. I take her, that's a different person. She's bio. She taught biology.
Even better, the sciences can be poetic.
So at 5:30, we'll start. Beth will welcome people. Shoshana, maybe, if she's going to do that. Then Louisa will have 90 minutes for her workshop and a reading. Then who wants to go first? Lyman or Stan?
Doesn't matter.
Beth, why don't you pick one?
Lyman, you're muted. I didn't hear what you just said. There we go.
Thought I'd unmuted myself. Okay. I don't, toss a coin.
Well, let me ask the two of you this. If you could describe the poems that you're planning to read with one word, what would it be?
I tend to have more serious downer poems. And so if you don't want to end on, I do try to read some more uplifting poems, but I tend to drift toward the life is hard and we're all struggling.
Well,
I think that's what poets do.
We're all going to die.
And I'll tell it to you 14 different ways.
Well, Stan, how would you describe yours?
But I haven't picked for sure which poems, but I would like to think that these are poems about wonder. Yeah, I'm going to be looking particularly at poems from Iceland, and
wonderful.
so I'll be trying to find the things that are remarkable in it, and not just pessimistic and nihilistic.
Well, let's do Lyman first and then transition to you,
Okay.
especially since we hope to have a great many students reading after you, and that might be a really nice transition
Okay.
to the young people.
It's fine
It's
with me.
alphabetical order by first name, Louisa Lyman Stan.
Okay.
That's what we'll say. That's our story.
Yeah, we thought of that first.
All right. Lyman, I'm sorry, Stan, do you need anything today?
No.
Okay.
We will need your bio or whatever you want read to introduce you.
Yeah, something other than simply rereading the bio you sent that's in the flyer.
Oh,
Just email to Beth and to me what you'd like said that night. If you don't send anything, she'll make something up.
That's
yeah,
right.
well, I might sound better that way. So you want alternate bio number 2?
Well, just whatever
Yeah.
you want that, something recent or doesn't matter. Just
Okay.
You could, I mean, the audience is going to be unpredictable to a certain extent. You could share something about you as a person. It doesn't have to be poetic,
Okay.
I mean, since we've been doing these and since I've participated in them, workshops or readings, the attendance has ranged from around 10 to around 25. And so I would not expect a huge amount. When we did the Zoom state festival last year, I don't think we got much more than about 30, 35 people at any one time. So I'd love it for it to be more than that. We're trying everything we can. If you have connections with libraries or schools or universities or whatever, please share and try and get people to attend. It is open to the general public throughout the universe. So you don't have to be a Virginia poet to participate.
Very good. Yeah, I'll get word out to people.
Okay. So Lyman and Stan will have approximately 15 minutes. Beth, probably you would ask for any questions from the audience, maybe at the end.
Okay.
Before we go into the open mic. We tend to get more questions live than we do on Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have people, and you can decide, do you want the questions to be asked over Zoom or via the chat function? Chat might be cleaner.
Well, yes, I think the chat would make it easier for everybody in the audience to follow.
And if somebody asks an insulting question, we can ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
Can't imagine that happening.
Or offer an insulting answer.
No, we keep the high road.
When they go low, we use violence. I don't know. Poetic violence.
Well, I have to say, I've attended several online literary readings and things recently, and the caliber of the questions via chat has been astounding. I think maybe that's emboldening people to write really thoughtful questions, much better than I have ever seen in a live presentation.
The ones we got when we were live from some of the public and students were pretty good.
Yeah.
One of the things I miss with doing it this way is English professors bringing a class or part of a
Mhm.
class.
Right.
They encourage it, but it doesn't seem to work as well.
The human connection is just not as strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would do the same with my classes and see if I can get anybody to actually show up after dinner time.
For my creative writing class, because it is an intro class, I don't actually judge their work. Most of them have not written fiction, drama, and poetry.
Right.
Some haven't done any of those.
Mhm.
Right.
Some have done it for 20 years. So I grade, this is the only class I've ever done where I grade effort. And
Mhm.
if they meet deadlines and do revisions and so on, they can get an A or a B. So I offer extra credit for them to go to readings, and this is one of the ones where they can earn extra credit. So that normally incentivizes at least a handful.
Good.
Normally not the ones that really need it, of course.
Of course. That's the way it always is.
Human nature.
Yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward to this. This is
Okay.
going to be quite a jewel for the October event list.
So if you think of anything that you need, questions you have in the meantime, feel free to email me. Just to repeat some of the things we talked about, Stan, the Centennial Anthology, I don't remember now. Let me go back to my email.
Yeah, the one that Ed Lola's getting
Yes.
stuff for. Yeah.
Did you submit?
Yeah, I sent him some titles just yesterday.
Okay. Because they're taking them through Halloween unofficially.
Oh, okay.
So the deadline was the 15th, but I don't know if that meant receive the 15th or postmarked. So
Right.
either way, you're fine. I don't think
Yep.
even then the post office in its current straits will take 2 weeks to get them there, but who
Oh, we
knows?
hope. Yeah.
They need judges for the poetry contest, which will be starting up in 2 weeks. I'm going to check to see if you can be a judge and still submit. Logically, you shouldn't be able to judge and submit to your own category, but
Right.
Beth remembers that if you judged at all, you couldn't submit to anything. So I want to verify that's the case. So if you're interested in being a judge, let me know. And I will
Yeah.
pass
A
you.
number of years ago, I helped recruit judges for that.
It's a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if any of them are still getting the invitation or not. The ones that, I mean, I don't know who judges. I haven't paid
Yeah.
attention.
And judges, I got the impression they didn't have to be members. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I recruited a number from even some international poets to do judging.
Wow. That's great.
Our festival next year, 2022, will be one leading into the Centennial.
Mm-hmm.
The ultimate festival being May 23 for the whole state. That's when the anthology will be available.
Mm.
I'm hoping by October, a year from now, we'll be able to do it live.
Mm.
Right now, I'm expecting the Northwest region and the North Central will still be stuck with me, that we won't have a vice president for the Northwest section. I hope I'm wrong, but it's been a challenge getting one for that area. If so, we'll do a combined one. I really can't see doing 2 of them. And right now I'm guessing we would do it at Germanna and Culpeper, because Culpeper would be not too far from Warrenton, Winchester, Harrisonburg, Fredericksburg. I mean, when you consider our 2 regions combined go from Harrisonburg to Winchester to King George down to Caroline,
Yeah.
it's a challenge. So And I'll talk to the college in advance about streaming it.
Oh, that would be great.
Probably not going to be able to do Zoom and live.
Hmm.
So people who are going to be housebound or not willing to travel, who wanted to be part of the open mic, what I'm thinking right now is we'll have them record in advance.
Mm-hmm.
And during the open mic, we'll intersperse the recordings. And people who want to ask questions, we'll probably have them text the number. And we'll read the text as well as have people who are live. So that's what I'm thinking right now. I would like it to be a little longer event, maybe a couple workshops,
Mm-hmm.
Finish with maybe the new poet laureate and open mic or something. All think about what you'd like to see in something that would celebrate Virginia, our region's poetry, and be something that poets and those interested in poetry might appreciate. We have plenty of time to work on it right now. So,
David, it occurred to me when you were speaking, this might be a good opportunity to include a specific indigenous element somewhere, since we're celebrating our centennial.
maybe I can get Joey Harjo.
Ooh.
You never know.
She might, especially if she could.
Is she still poet laureate?
Yeah. I think
She
so.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how long are those terms?
She's had multiple terms, which I think is in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's certainly a lot of tribes in Virginia, and what couple more just got official recognition. So
It's a good idea.
So think about all that, and the Centennial Celebration Committee, which is another one I'm on. They're trying to figure out a theme having to do with Virginia. So probably we'll have to have it somehow, at least part of it, fit in with the theme. But if it's somehow got something to do with Virginia, we'll figure it out. All right, Stan, anything else you want to?
Nope, I'm good. And I just want to check in. I felt bad that I couldn't be here when you started.
Hey,
Glad you made it.
avoiding Zoom meetings is probably says something positive about you.
No, I've been online since what was it, about 12:45.
Yeah.
So
I had the state board meeting, PSV board meeting from 10 to noon. So
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Quick word to Lyman. Your name came up. I introduced myself to Jill Alexander Esbaum.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
And she wrote back and said, "Love me some Lyman."
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that you were credited in the back of the book that I had read of hers, and then I asked her about joining for a panel that I'm putting together.
Oh, great. Yeah, no, she's wonderful. She wrote a blurb for a book a few books ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're big fans of each other.
Excellent.
If only I could write as well as she does. Boy,
yeah.
I'm going to probably need 2 or 3 blurbs for my book. So let me know if you're willing to have me inflict a copy on you in advance.
Well, what I tell people is I won't guarantee to write a blurb, but I'll read it and then I'll decide.
That's absolutely fair.
Well, because I've had people who said, you're my friend, write a blurb for me. And then I read their book and I go, what can I say?
Yeah. David's poetry is
like poems.
Is in the shape of a poem.
Yeah.
On the page.
Yeah.
Shows a sincere engagement with
trying desperately
living it.
Well, if
Okay.
you are interested, I will indeed send you a copy now.
Oh, yeah, I will take a look at it when I get a chance. I'm still winding up midterm grades too.
Well, I just signed the contract. The book won't be available to July, so there should be plenty. And the editor, this is the one that won the Homebound Prize.
Okay, very good.
And it's she hasn't given me any deadlines for anything yet.
Who's your
Okay.
publisher, Dave? Skeleton Books again?
It's shoot, Wayfarer Books.
Okay,
Mm.
very good.
Very good.
Thank you,
Okay.
Lyman, for at least for Stan for at least reading it
Yep.
eventually. All right, everybody.
Okay, we'll
Take
see you all
care.
next time then.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
The 28th.